Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar, where we will be discussing account-based prospecting and GDPR compliance. My name is Cliona Moulton, and I will be your host for today's webinar, and I'm joined by Farouk Umar, who is the Data Protection Officer here at Due Dil, who's been working over the last year to ensure that Due Dil is all set for the new legislation, which is coming into effect next week. I'm also joined by Anneliese Niebauer, who is a business development manager here at Due Dil and has helped our clients build account-based approaches to sales and marketing. So what we're going to cover on this webinar is Farouk is going to talk about what is GDPR and how Due Dil is staying compliant and different methods that we've done to ensure that we'll be compliant. Anneliese is then going to talk about contact-based versus account-based targeting and how to build your ideal customer profile, and then also share some examples of what other companies are doing in taking an account-based approach. So with that, I will hand you over to Farouk.
Hello everyone, this is Farouk Umar. So I'm the data protection manager over here at DueDil, and in the first few slides I'm just gonna walk through, as a reminder, what GDPR is and what its consequences are, who it affects, and also what DueDil is doing to stay compliant come May 25th and to ensure its continual compliance. Cool, so from the top, GDPR, otherwise known as EU Regulation 26679, is a new directive by the European Commission intended to strengthen and unify data protection for EU citizens and residents. So this affects both, people residing in the EU, but also EU citizens residing anywhere in the world, let's say the US or Russia. And this affects any company or individual that wants to do business with, any EU natural citizen or resident. So virtually almost every company in the world. It comes into effect on May 25th, which is about less than 8 days away. Yay, just around the corner. But one thing that we all like to think about is the fines associated with this. So just to put some numbers on it, the fines are up to 20 million euros or 4% of global turnover, whichever is higher. So you know how much to put aside, if you 100% sure you're not compliant. All this is to say, basically, you need to take it very seriously and ramp up your readiness plan if you haven't already. Cool. So right now, DueDil has done a lot over the past few months to make sure that, its platform is compliant, the business is compliant, because, our bread and butter is data. We're a data company at the heart of it. And some of the steps we've taken are appointing a data protection officer, ensuring we have a legal basis for every single personal data we process, revamping all our policies and procedures related to data protection, such as our privacy policy and other policies and procedures internally. We are right now in the process of agreeing with a lot of our suppliers and clients data protection amendments. If you are one of our clients and we haven't signed one with you, please reach out to us and we'll send you a data protection amendment. Yes, we have a comprehensive list of internal records of whatever it is that we process. So we keep track of every single personal data that flows into our system. And we've set up new processes for responding to subject access requests. And that is basically the rights of individuals to either be forgotten, to be rectified, or to be, basically to pause their processing of their personal data for any reason that, one reason or the other. And much more. If you'd like to have a more in-depth conversation or a longer list than this, please email us at privacy@duedil.com. On that note, I'm going to hand you over to my colleague Anneliese, who will walk you on how to, do account-based prospecting. Take it over, Anneliese.
Hey everyone. All right, so we're now going to switch gears to another hot topic in the industry. If you're in B2B marketing, you've almost certainly heard of the trend about account-based marketing. It's definitely one of the hottest B2B marketing trends that's happened in the past 5 years. So this section is going to cover a short overview of account-based targeting and how to know if it's right for your business, what account-based marketing has to do with GDPR and why we've included it in this webinar. Then we'll move to a more tactical section. So we'll go through how to build the building blocks around an account-based strategy. We'll tie it off with 2 customer case studies, just to leave you with some food for thought and give you some ideas of how to implement it. And then of course, we'll have time at the end for questions. Before we kick off into how-tos of account-based marketing, I think it's helpful to understand the evolution and how marketers have arrived at account-based marketing. Historically, B2B marketers would think of the ideal customer profile as a person or a persona. Marketers would try to understand who was the end user of their product and build a persona around their buyers. So I'm sure if you're in marketing, you're all familiar with the idea of building a persona, such as targeting every IT professional that's over 40 years old, that has had more than 10 years of experience in the UK, as an example. Marketers would then say, right, we know who's buying our software. Now let's send over a brief to our agency or to a call center to generate leads of IT professionals, or they would use channels like LinkedIn and Facebook to get these leads. If you're in B2C marketing or you're targeting more SMEs, this still might be the best approach. But in the past 5 years, B2B sales teams that sell more complex or expensive solutions have found flaws in the notion of a persona-based targeting and have moved gears towards ABM as the optimal solution. So what is it? Account-based sales is a way of targeting strategic accounts where marketing and sales treat each account as a market of one. So why do 97% of marketers say account-based marketing has higher ROI than other marketing activities? The main reason for this is that complex or strategic business decisions are typically made by more than one person in an organization. So if there's any salespeople on the call, I'm sure you know that every complex sale involves multiple stakeholders. You've got your end users, but you also have influencers, champions, economic buyers, decision makers, etc. If your solution is complex, strategic, or expensive, the IT buyer that you've previously been targeting is not going to be able to make this decision on their own. The second main benefit of account-based marketing is that you're pre-qualifying accounts to optimize for the highest ROI campaigns and the highest LTV customers. Another related industry trends is that B2B marketers are now able to track the performance of their campaigns further down the funnel. So a lot of marketers are looking at the impact of ROI on their campaigns and even LTV. It's very different than kind of historically what was a B2B marketer's main KPI, which was number of leads generated. And this ties more closely into kind of a salesperson's goal and ultimately the company's goal of acquiring better customers. The final benefit and the reason that we're talking about account-based marketing on this webinar is that if you focus on your key accounts, it'll give you an opportunity to be more personal and find more GDPR-friendly ways of targeting your accounts. And I'll share a few resources on how to do this later on the presentation. Hopefully now you're inspired to take another look at ABM if you don't already adopt it, or to at least look at kind of how you can rethink your strategy. So we'll now go into a more tactical section. So the first step in building a target account list is to understand your ideal customer profile. You probably already have a suspicion of who your best customers are, but I always recommend going back to the data to build your ICP. First, you want to get your sales operations team or someone to help you build a list of your best customers. So these might be the customers that have been with you the longest or have the highest lifetime value, or maybe they're adopting the most of your product. Once you have this list, you want to do a bit of analysis to understand the firmographic trends behind these customers. DueDil has a customer insights tool that pulls out trends in your customer base. So by analyzing large lists of accounts, you can begin to create criteria that you'll then use to build your ICP, such as employee numbers, turnover brackets, geographies, industries, growth rates, etc. A really great example of a company who's done this recently is the London Stock Exchange. 2 days ago, they announced the 2018 1000 Companies to Inspire Britain, which is an annual report that they release to recognize the fastest growing private companies in the UK. This is the third year in a row we've partnered with the London Stock Exchange to help compile the list, and they go through a very similar exercise to what I've just described. So first, we help them define the criteria by analyzing companies that they know that are fast growing. And second, we work with them to actually build the list by segmenting the market, which is what we're going to go into now. So once you already have your list of targeted accounts, you want to then, your list of criteria, you want to then build the list of targeted accounts. So the first step gave us the list of criteria. Using Due Dil, here's how you can replicate your insights to find brand new companies. Due Dil's company search gives you the freedom to use 50+ filters to really narrow down your ideal customer profile. So this can be searching for companies using industry keywords. It can be using growth rates. It can be using turnover, employee numbers. Even you can look at events. So look at all the companies that have moved office in the last year or changed director. Right now, we're looking at our latest filter that we just released a few days ago, and that's introducing legal identifier numbers into the search criteria as well. This will give you a list of all the companies that fit your ideal customer profile. So now that you have your ICP, an account-based strategy means that you've made the trade-off intentionally between volume and quality. You've chosen to go for a more quality approach in your marketing. Part of quality, of course, is personalization, and the way to get to personalization is to research your accounts. So step number 3 is to research accounts, and most of the companies that have truly adopted account-based marketing have some sort of research function internally, whether that be a dedicated research role or a sales development role. A lot of the clients that we work with would give their research teams Due Dil access to be able to quickly get insights into each account, such as the latest major news alerts or changes in the company's financials, looking at the ownership structure. And then what we're looking at here is actually looking at the wider group structure, so seeing all of the subsidiaries and parent companies. So for example, in this company list, we're looking at Wild and Fresh, which is a UK company owned by Whole Foods, which is also owned by Amazon. So it lets you see the entire global group structure here. So once you know which companies you want to target and you've researched the companies, the next step is to getting all that data into your CRM. This lovely code we're looking at on the screen right now is DueDil's API docs. DueDil's API is a mechanism to push everything we've just discussed automatically into your CRM. If you're going to make the shift towards account-based marketing, it's also a great opportunity for you to revisit the health of your CRM. The easiest way to keep everyone aligned and to ensure marketing and sales are all focused on the right accounts is having everything accurately recorded in your CRM. Our clients find that the lowest maintenance way of doing this is to integrate our API and have everything updated automatically in the back end. There's also a direct push to CRM within the platform. So you can actually, from within your account, push new accounts into your CRM. So once you have all of your accounts, you're ready to go, you can still use the same marketing campaigns you've always used, such as LinkedIn, Facebook, email, direct mail, calling. All of these work, but the main shift here is that now you're more focused on the accounts rather than targeting anonymous personas. So I'm gonna now jump into a few customer stories. Hopefully you feel inspired to at least revisit your account-based strategy here, and this should give you some food for thought. So the first customer that I'm going to talk about is Reward Gateway. We love Reward Gateway here at Due Dil, and they're quite an innovative sales team. Prior to working with Due Dil, they were really interested in adopting an account-based marketing strategy. And they got started doing that by, I think probably what most of you all have done is looking for lists on the internet, such as the 100 fastest growing finance companies, the 100 most inspiring companies to watch. They would go through all these lists to find new companies that they could reach out to. And I guess they exhausted this resource. So they had been doing this for a while, and they found that over time, the return just wasn't as high and they were wasting a lot of time researching. So they came to Due Dil to solve two specific goals in the first instance. First, they wanted to clean up their existing prospect list to understand which accounts still had opportunities and how they should prioritize them. Second, they wanted to be able to find brand new accounts. So they actually had a very specific list of criteria they were looking for, such as employee numbers, turnover. They looked for growing companies, and then their territories were aligned on geos, so they were also looking at postcodes. Using all of these criteria, they were able to create a territory for each sales rep, and this resulted in a 3x increase in their prospecting numbers as a result of the fact that each rep was saving 13 hours a week in prospecting, in desk-based prospecting. Another company that I want to talk about quickly, because I think a lot of clients, a lot of people I talk to think that account-based marketing only works if you're really doing enterprise-sized deals. I think Zipcar is a really good example of a company that targets the SME sector, but still takes an account-based approach. So Zipcar came to the UK market to disrupt the ride-sharing space. The UK already has a lot of competition, so they were going up against the likes of Addison Lee. And in order to gain market share, Zipcar wanted to focus on targeting brand new companies, so companies that weren't already working with one of the incumbents. Using Due Dil, they are actually able to pull real-time lists of all the companies that incorporate within the last month. So they, from there, take all the companies that have incorporated in the last month and narrow it down further to target companies that are within a 1 mile radius of their parking garages. They then send them a really targeted direct mail campaign that says, hey, welcome to the neighborhood, try out Zipcar. And this has been a really successful campaign for them. It's resulted in a 40% lead conversion rate. And it just goes to show there's account-based marketing really for every type of company. I've done a lot of talking now, so I want to hand it over to you guys for a bit of Q&A. We've seen a lot of questions come in here, so excited to tackle some of them.